Hello, and welcome to the video for Wednesday for game design. They did turn on the cooler here at my studio, so if you hear this kind of constant little noise in the background, that is the cooler, so my apologies for that. I don't think it's that loud, but if you hear something unusual, that's what it is. Okay, so let's get started. So first of all, I had a video that I had made for Monday, and there might have been an error where it didn't show up on Monday. I noticed that today, and so I reposted the video here. So if you checked the website on Monday, you didn't see this video, maybe give it a gander, take a look there. In this video, I review and give feedback on one of the games, specifically the Bury and Borrow game. Uh, and so you can take a look at that and see how I talk about their game, what feedback I give them, because generally the feedback is appropriate to other games as well. Okay, and other things I talked about on Monday were there's a couple of uh, presentations here I'd like you to check out and then give the students some feedback in the website forum if you would. And then, of course, working on your game for the April 24th, which is when we're going to be sending those things out. And that'll come up quicker than you know it. It's already the 15th, so we're already only about 9 days out till the 24th. So you definitely want to take advantage of this time to clean up your graphics, tighten up your rules, all kinds of things that you can do to improve the game. Maybe do some play testing. Okay, so let's talk about what we're doing for today. We've got Max, who is hopefully putting a presentation in his Google Drive folder so that we can share that next week. We have Carlos's presentation, which was due on Monday, and he turned that in. So take a look at that and make some comments in the website forum. And then for today, what we're going to do is I'm going to sort of go over and review, give some feedback on another of the games that was uploaded. So let me go here to the Game Crafter website. And today I'm going to talk about Errorverse. So let me click on that. And so it looks like there's a booklet in here. And it hasn't been proofed. That's what that little thing is. So you definitely want to make sure that you proof that before you try to get it published. Well, it looks like the reason it hasn't been proofed is because it's just a placeholder right now. So obviously they're still working on the rules and they're going to drop those in there. Okay, so that is the booklet. They may also have decided not to print a booklet with the Game Crafter, and you can choose to go that route. You can always print your rules from any home printer and staple them together if you want to save a few bucks. They do look nicer, the booklets the Game Crafter prints, and of course they're have color and they come all stapled together and folded nicely. So if you do have money in your budget to have them print up your rule book, that's a nice way to go. Okay, so let's go down here to the next area, which is boxes, and we're going to click on that. And we're going to come down here and see that they have large stout box only top printed. Okay, so they don't really care about the printing on the other areas. And then let's go ahead and click this eyeball to see the preview. Okay, so this is a nice looking cover. The name of the game right there, Errorverse, and they tell the name of their team and who it was printed for. And then they show that there are 4 different eras here. So we can see space, medieval, cowboy, and sort of a colonial. I'm not sure how you guys would characterize that, but I'll just call it colonial for lack of a better term. Now, if I want to see how this is set up, I can disable the cut lines, and I can see that they have black on the outside there. So this, just as a reminder, and this is going to be very key, I'm going to say this over and over again. This dotted blue line is something you really have to pay attention to because this is what's called the safe zone. And everything that you want to appear on whether your box top or your cards or your stand-ups or whatever, the artwork has to be inside the safe zone or there's a chance and a probability that it will get cut off, right? So if I look at this artwork, the ideal thing here, I would assume, is to have all of this artwork bleed to the edge. So in other words, this orange should go all the way up to this top thin blue line, so that when it gets cut, and it'll get cut right here in this red line that I'm pointing to with my mouse, uh, you'll still see the orange and you won't see black, right? But if I disable the cut lines, you see black all the way around the edge, right? So it looks like what's going to happen is it's going to get cut right here, and unfortunately, that cut may not be perfect. It might be a little too far into the black or a little too far into the orange. So what they're probably going to get is a kind of a weird cut. So what would make sense for the artist who did this is to take this artwork and extend it all the way to the edge of this template. So grab this and bring it all the way to the edge of this picture at the bottom. Grab each one of these and expand it so it goes all the way up to the edges, and so on and so forth. And that way your cuts will be appropriate, and it'll cut things off right like this, which is what I assume you want. So it looks like they've done a nice job on the cover. And so now we'll go back, and we'll go back again. And next we'll talk about, let's see, the card decks. Okay, and so of course, poker decks are the most common. And here we can see the ability card, and this is nicely laid out. Notice everything is inside the blue dotted line, so all of that is going to be faithfully reproduced. And then we also have the attack card. Now, this is where I'm going to start saying this, and unfortunately I'm going to say it over and over again, like I said, but this blue line, you literally can't have anything go outside of this dotted blue line because it'll get cut off, right? So what needs to happen with this card is you need to select these two swords and shrink them down so that the handles, the hilts or whatever they're called, are inside of the blue line. Otherwise, they'll get cut off. Okay, and then, sorry I have to keep going back into this, but it's just the way their interface works. And then one more here. Okay, and this, it's an interesting looking graphic, very cool, and it fits all within the blue safe zone, which is great. Okay, so let's now go in, and these are of course the backs of the cards. Let's look at the cards themselves. Let's see. If I click on this one. Okay, so here is where you're going to have some more problems with the cut lines, right? It says a hero has arrived, and the majority of that looks like it will be inside the blue lines, unless it looks like there might be a exclamation point there, so this should be shrunk down a little bit. This will get cut off, but that's no issue, right? Okay, what's interesting here is it looks like they've tried to add this design all the way around the edge, but the problem is that your cut is, sorry about that. Let me go back up there. Let's see, enable cut lines. The problem is it's this inner red line, which is the cut line, which means it's essentially going to cut off all of these outside graphics, right? And all you're going to have is this graphic going across, and it's going to look, it could potentially look a little weird because the cut line could go a little over this way, and then you'd have part of this graphic here, but nowhere else maybe. So what you need to do is, first of all, probably get rid of this outline here, that outer design, just completely throw it away, and then maybe replace this with just a solid color that goes all the way across. Now the next thing you need to do is take your text like this and shrink it down and put it entirely within the blue lines, the blue dotted lines, just like this, because otherwise it'll run the risk of getting cut off. And even if it doesn't get cut off, it's going to look bad because it's so close to the edge. So you want to move that in a little bit. Now I'll look at a few cards in each deck, and if they have similar issues, then we'll just skip on to the next deck. So I'll go ahead and go down here, just randomly pick another card. Once again, same issue. This definitely has to be shrunk down so it fits within the blue lines, and same issue with the outside graphics in this one right here. Okay, so now let's go in and look at the attack cards. So this was the ability deck. This is the attack deck. Oops, my apologies. I have to go in and click on edit so I can see the inside cards, which is that. Okay, and so same deal with all these. Got to get rid of that outside thing. This fits all within the borders nicely, so you're good there. We'll check a couple other of these cards just to see how they're looking. Just randomly go down here. Okay, it looks like with these cards you've done a better job of, or they've done a better job of um, getting everything where it needs to be inside of the guidelines. Okay, so that's great. Okay, and then let's go ahead and look at this last deck of cards, the move cards. And I can see from right out here, same issues. Get rid of that outside. This looks like it's within the cut lines clearly. So I'll go ahead and click on one just to show what they look like. Yeah, and it looks good. Okay, so yeah, so my criticisms, my feedback for the cards is all the same. Get rid of that outside border. Replace the border, the line that's going across with a solid color, perhaps, like what's called a rule, which is the line that goes across. And then make sure on all your cards, all of the content that you want to keep fits inside of the guidelines, or else it'll get cut off or it'll just kind of look bad. So, but nice looking cards. You guys have done a nice job there. If you've got extra time, maybe consider improving your graphics where you can, or adding new graphics to cards that don't have them. Okay, and then next we have the, let's see, so that was the decks. So now we can look in dice pawns and unprinted parts. We can see that they're getting these things called winks, which are these transparent plastic discs. And then they have, and I imagine those are the little power stones or whatever they're called for their game. And then they've got the 4 different die here. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back. Let's see, to Airverse. Okay, and then so those are the unprinted parts. We've got a section here called mats, and we know that their game is created using these hexagons. So we can look at some of these, and these are double-sided. So this is a nice looking print here. Once again, I'll disable the cut lines. So what you should probably do on all these, same as what I talked about with the cards, instead of just cutting off your artwork right here, go ahead and take the artwork and extend it past the cut line. Because this is a physical medium that gets printed and cut, it moves around a little bit on the machines, which means your cut could be a little bit out here, which would mean you'd have a white line around your whole mat there. So you definitely don't want that. So, at a minimum, fill all this background with either a dark green, or even better, take all your artwork here and just stretch it out and expand it so like it goes out, a 1/4 of an inch or whatever. It'll look weird on here, but when you enable the cut lines, it'll show you, it'll cut so that it just gets the artwork that you want. So, I'm going to assume that that advice is going to hold for all of the mats that you've done. And they look good. I like the way they're looking here. Very nice with your graphics and with the base that you indicate. This is a little dark right here. It looks like it might be a cool skull, with a stairwell, but it's so dark that I can't really see it on the screen, which means when it prints, it's going to print very dark too. So if you can open this graphic up in Photoshop and lighten it, that would improve the look, I think. Okay, and on the backs of the mats, we have this Pima logo and Team RNG class of 2020. And then let's see what else we have here. See if there's any other things I want to mention about the mats. I would say in general they look very good. It's a very interesting look that you have for your game. Every area is a different era, obviously, space, and the bases look cool, and I like the way that you've done these letters. So once again, just take the artwork and extend it out past the cut line so that you can get some good looking mats. Okay, and then let's see what else they got. I know that they have some, let's see, standees, small punch outs, right? So we look in the small punch outs and we see that they have these things called small standees, and these are things that just stand up, and it looks like they're just merely colors. So maybe they just want there to be specific colors for those tokens that get moved around the board, which is fine. That's not a problem, right? Now then, they also have medium standees, and these are the ones where you're going to want to once again edit your graphics a bit. This dotted blue line is the only area where they can guarantee that there will be printing that will occur. Everything else is subject to being cut off. So what needs to happen is the thing that you really want to show up, which is this guy and the horse, it needs to be shrunk down so that the edges of the horse, his tail and his head fit within these blue lines. Okay? And otherwise he runs the risk of getting cut off. True of all of these standees, right? So these were the medium standees. Let's see. Let me go down here, go back up. Medium standee. So it's true with this guy too. He needs to be moved up so his feet aren't cut off because they definitely will be from that. And then let's check out the other guys. Yeah, true here. Shrink this guy down so he's within this blue area, and then you can have the space stuff around him, and because you don't care if the space stuff gets cut off, but you don't want that guy cut off because those are your player tokens. And then of course, same here. Just shrink the guy down so he fits entirely in there, and you can have all the background around him. Okay, so I believe, unless I'm incorrect, that that is everything that is part of the Arrowverse game. And I think that you guys have done a really nice job on this. I like the idea of going between different eras, a universe with these 4 different eras in it. I like your graphics. The game boards look really cool. I like the standees, the tokens, the medium standees. They have the artwork on them. And I think your artwork for your cards is looking really good too. So it looks like visually it's going to be a really fun game. I like the cover of the box. My main comments are really 2 things. Uh, just to summarize, you need to take the artwork and take it all the way to the bleed edge, which is the outside edge of the template. Just pull that artwork all the way to that outside edge so that the cutting, the trimming of things like your mats and your cards end up looking good. Make sure that you put all of your content inside the dotted blue, the dashed blue lines. That's the save area. And in your cards, in your poker cards that we looked at earlier, remember also about that border which is around the edge, and that needs to be taken out and replaced with basically nothing. Um, so you need to get rid of, if I disable the cut line, once again, get rid of this border all the way around, and this, take that blue color and extend it all the way to the edge of the file. And then if you do want a line here, you can put in a solid color or whatever kind of design you want here. But these have to go because they're not going to look good. And in the guidelines that companies that print cards give you, they tell you not to put a border around things because of the inaccuracy of the way the cards are cut. It'll make it so that the border is uneven, and so you want to stay away from that. And you guys wouldn't know that if it's your first time printing card decks, and it's the first time for most of us here printing games like this. So it's no problem. That's why we're here, is to make these mistakes on Pima's dime, really, and then figure them out for to make better games in the future. Okay, so very nice job, you guys. Keep up the good work. Hopefully you can take some of this extra time we have to do those fixes to the artwork. And also, of course, work on your rules and get those really clean and looking good. Maybe make a rule booklet that has some graphics in it, especially, and you can obviously upload that to here to print, and maybe that's what this placeholder is, or you can print it yourself. And of course, get as much game testing done as you can, whether it's probably in a virtual environment, one of those tabletop simulator type of environments so that you can figure out how smooth the game is going and what changes you want to make before you actually get it printed. Okay, so nice job. In future episodes of this video series, I will review the other games and give you guys some feedback. And hopefully this is helpful to all you guys because, as I said in the last video, this information kind of goes across the board and applies to anybody who's making games. You know, these basic rules of design. Okay, so nice job. I hope you guys have a nice weekend and you get a lot of work done on your games. And I will talk to you again on Monday.